when you're building a build from scratch, like the tube chassis on this 39 pickup, there's a lot of stuff that's just not fun and not sexy. Well, maybe it's fun, but it's not sexy. It doesn't make for great content, but I wouldn't be doing you any justice if I didn't share all that with you. So today we got some more new parts. We're going to pull this fender off and we're going to get into it. So stick around. This is going to be a shocking episode. I'm Mike and you're watching My Car Shop. I think that's always been one of my great frustrations over the years of watching a lot of the TV shows on TNN back in the 90s. You gain such an unrealistic view of building cars. Now, the reason I knew that was because I was actually in the real world building cars. And the little details can be very discouraging to somebody who doesn't understand all of those little details. And they get an unrealistic view of how long it takes to build a car because so much of that stuff is omitted. So that's what we're after today. We've got the shocks. We're going to double check our shock mounts, and we need to modify the lower shock mount to make the new shocks fit. So it's kind of an important deal. It's a little deal, but it's a deal. And so let's make a deal. The title of the episode was, I bought the cheapest shocks at Rock Auto that I could find. I paid $12 a piece for front shocks. Do I expect them to be KYB gas shock quality? Of course not. But I am really interested in how they are. Obviously, we're not going to get any riding performance feedback on these today, but they damp. Yeah, they damp nicely and they return nicely, so that's the thing. Actually, I don't know what the title of the video is going to be, but it's going to be something like that yet. So this shock here needs to come out. And take out our little brace. We got to remove our nuts. Oh yeah, that's going to be a problem because those are not welded in there yet. So I need to get another squeegee to hold that in place. Don't go away. Well, that took me a hot minute. I knew I had 10 pair of those big channel locks. Couldn't find them. They were still in the cab of the 39 over there. Clamping down one of the braces. So I went and removed one and got it where I need it. Because I knew that with the shock pressure, this wasn't going to hold up very well. Not off by much, but if you remember right, I took and, so you can see me, I took and had to take the shock mount, which was straight up and down, and tweak it like that so the holes don't line up right. So that's what I'm trying to do, is determine where the holes need to be to make things line up right. And of course, with real shocks, it makes it a bit more of a challenge. I don't want to put too much pressure on that, but I got to get it in there. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So we are off quite a bit, more than you'd think. Now, I don't want to take this side and bring the hole up. I want to go down on that side over here. So, yeah. All right, I'm going to get out a thing and do a thing. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to tighten it down, if I have a nut, to kind of get the metal all bent in place the way it's supposed to be. Got to find a nut. It's here somewhere. There it is. So anyway, yeah, I want to tighten this down, and that will kind of bend everything in where it's supposed to be, and we'll be good to go. I took a drill and I just went in there and kind of oblonged the holes and I had to bend this apart a little bit more so it would get in there and be able to wiggle it into place. So now if I tighten it up, everything should kind of fall into place where it needs to be, and it will be good. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I found my duddy, and we'll go ahead and get that tightened down. There we go. Pulled everything into place exactly where it needs to be now, and the bolt goes in and out kind of nice. Should, once I get the pressure off. There we go. And will it fall back into place? It should. Absolutely. And our bolt goes, yep, right through. So there we go on that. Well, it almost goes right through. Came out, it's got to go in, right? Yep, it does. Just need a little crystal blue persuasion. Okay, so that's cool. So we got one side done. Got to do the other side now. So, yeah, that's going to be very nice. Let's get that up in the hole. Yep. I don't think our angle is bad on that. It lines up good in there. You know, we're not tight here. But yeah, not bad. We put these on put these on the top, just so that we're all locked down and in position. And then I want to grab my piece of metal here, get that up in there in our mock-up. Okay, not bad. Here, come on, get down. Yeah. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, let's get the other side done, and we'll be right back. Let's give you a little better view of everything. Looking forward to getting this stuff all welded all together and getting everything cleaned up with all the new bushings and stuff in there. But this was an important thing, because if I couldn't get that to line up right, we were going to have to rethink our shock design, but I think we're fine. So that ended up being a huge ordeal. I didn't have the strut rod on this side. I showed you doing that on the other side, so I didn't bother filming it. Plus, my camera was dead, so you guys charged while I was doing that. But I had to go find a set of strut rod washers. Yeah, so anyway, I had to bring my old K-frame back in because there was a cutoff bar on that, and then I had to chase the threads, and oh, there was stuff, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, and I just realized that I don't have two pairs of clippy things on here, so, and there's the shock rod. Okay, so I got this shock mount hopefully rotted out the way it needs to be. I can just get my little thingamabobber in the whatchamacallit, and then the doohickey to line up with the thingamabob, and we'll be in like Flynn, I hope. Close, but no cigar. What's going on? Maybe we just need a little crystal blue persuasion. Let me go get some. That was what it needed. So we got it crystal blue persuaded in place. It's lining up perfectly now. I knew that was part of the problem with the strut rod, wasn't in there pulling everything up tight. And so things were just kind of wonking all over. So our shock is really nice in there now. I'm happy with that. I got to find my other shock nut. That's not it. Okay. I know I have it. Here over the rainbow. That's a lug nut. Well, if you're curious, the threads on the front of a strut rod are 5/8 11 course thread. I happen to have a die and a tap both for that, so I was able to chase that because the shaft was a little bit messed up. So that was another thing that I spent time dealing with. But yeah, we're getting there. All right, let's get you up close and personal here. So shock is nice and centered in the control arm. Looks good. Really happy with that. No problems at all. Obviously, we're not tightened down up here because none of this is welded. Where's our piece of angled angle that goes across there? Knocked it out of there somewhere. Hold on, let me find that. That puts the Agra invading. It's here. I know it is. It was in there when I started. So I've already been looking for 10 minutes. I don't know where the heck it went. Anyway, can you relate? These cats really should be helping me, but that's what they like to do out here. The other one's running around somewhere. Anyway, I found my piece. It was laying down on the floor underneath. So, okay, nothing is really lining up right because I had to take all of this apart to get that strut rod down in there. But you're getting the idea here anyway. So it's getting there. I know I need to take all of this off the car and weld it all up and then put it back on. I don't think, what I probably should do is tack it together on here and then take it off and weld it good because I need to weld it. Yeah, I need to weld these pieces tight. Where are we? These pieces tight here, and I need to weld these pieces tight in here. All of this together. So that's probably what we'll ultimately do. Of course, this whole thing needs to be lined up better and welded together. But and then there is 16 gauge, 18 gauge steel, 18, I guess is what I was doing. Steel to brace all of this and cover it, and there's stuff going on, so it'll make it look a little prettier. We got angle dressing to do on this to make it look more than just a bunch of bed frame stuck together. But it's getting there. So the next thing I've been wanting to do, this is built for a sway bar, and I want to go find the sway bar. I think I have it. Oh, I must have it because I'd be able to come off of this car. So I got to go upstairs and see where my A-body sway bars are because I want to see if I can put one on here and get it lined up. I bought all the bushings and everything, but I don't know. Okay, so that's set aside for now. Again, the usual. I need some space, the final frontier from it. So I'm just going to sit on it, potsy, for a while and let it be what it is. So I came back over here to my torsion bar mount because I'm curious. I don't think we're going to need a cross member here. I really don't. We're going to have a cross member right here. There was some concern. Some people mentioned that it's going to twist the frame. I don't think it's going to. But here's the thing. This is like falling in a pile of poo and coming out smelling like a rose. So if I do need to do one, I have two ways I can go. Going up and over doesn't make any sense because it'll be up in the cab most likely from where from what I'm seeing, this is going to be just in front of the oil pan on the transmission. So under the flywheel. And here's the cool thing about that. I have all the room in the world to move this motor where I want. I'm basically setting this up about 4 or 5 inches back from the radiator like a stock A-body is. But if I want to go back more, I certainly can. I don't want to get too carried away with setting it back, but definitely can do that. And the thing about it is this, if I did need to wiggle it a little bit, this cross member would fall right in front of the transmission oil pan, right under the flywheel. It couldn't have come out any better if I wanted to. So I can make it go over like that if I want. And that will reinforce this if I need to. So I'm not even remotely worried about that anymore. Not that I was. Because like I said, when you look here, we're only looking at, where's my tapeworm over there? Hold on. We're looking at a brace-ish, 3 inches off of this frame. And 2 inches down. I mean, so we're literally just looking at a little, hardly anything. Yeah, there's a lot of twist on that. I get that. And if we can put a member under there, we will. But again, I'm not feeling too, especially because we're going to have one right here. So just this far back from that, if there was any torque on that frame at all, that would take care of it. But if it looks like there's any concern, we can run one right under there. It won't interfere with servicing the transmission at all. So that's a winner chicken dinner. So what's coming next? All things being equal, Chris is supposed to be here next weekend. The plan, the goal, I got to find out what days he's going to be here. If he's coming Thursday as usual, or if he's coming Friday, I'm not sure his work schedule. The plan and the goal is to add one more section onto the front of this frame table, another set of legs. I have enough more material to do that. Get this frame table stretched out and get the back half of the frame laid out so that I can start working on getting the rear end under it. In my fantasy life, we would get all of that done. We would get the rear end under it, finish the front end under it, and get it back on the floor and take the frame table down. Do I think that's realistic? No, I don't, because we have other things we need to do besides this. But my goal while he's here and I have an extra set of manly man hands is to get this chassis table lengthened out, and we'll have to move this forward on it and then get the back half of the frame in and maybe get it built the way it needs to be built, bolted and welded together the way it needs to be, and maybe get the rear end down and set up in place so that I can work on getting the springs and the rear end housing mounted on it. I don't think we'd be able to get all that done, but that's coming real soon. We are not far from having this thing sitting on the floor right here. We're not far from being able to take this cab and set it on this chassis. We're not far from being able to set the motor in this chassis and fire it up. We are not far from a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, the motor will probably go in this before that does. We do need to flip this. There's welding to be done underneath on the front brace. When the radiator's out, actually, I could probably do some of it on here, so maybe we don't need to flip it. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like there's something under there I do need to weld. But it's there's a lot of moving parts here that are coming together pretty quickly. In a lot of ways, yes, there's a lot of fabrication going on here. There's going to be a lot more going on there. This part of a project, when you're starting from scratch, almost goes faster than what we did on the Challenger. When we hand fabricated the rear frame rails and all those floor pans, that's an insurmountable task. We're going to run into some insurmountable tasks here because we still have a cab that is, and the doors aren't lining up right, and we need to get back up, and there's a lot of stuff to be done. But just imagine the motor being in here and being able to go hum and make noise. Hopefully it runs good. I've never heard it run, but my buddy Charlie said it was a good running motor. I've only had it for 7, 8, 9 years sitting back there. I do turn it over once in a while, but anyway, if not, I got more motors. And maybe not move it around under its own power. I'm not saying that, but have it with the motor in it. We can roll it around on its own, the cab setting on it, so we can work on getting all that done. We've got a job of work banging out fenders. But wouldn't it be cool in just a few months to be able to jump in this thing and fire it up and drive it around the homestead here? It's in the foreseeable future. Actually, the Challenger's not that much further off either. The only reason I've been hammering hard on the 39, well, there's 2 reasons. Becky wants to drive it by her birthday next October. So I told her I would do everything humanly possible. The second thing is because I know Chris has been planning to come since December, and I want to utilize his skills to help me get this stuff done, and his strength. 90% of the time I'm here by myself. But with his help here, we should be able to make the adjustments that we need to make, get this all leveled back up, and get that rear half of the frame put on here and welded on here. So that's kind of the goal. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I need to sit on this again, like I said, gel on it. I like the shocks in there. Oh yeah, I got one more thing to show you. Go over here. This also came, I did not put these in this truck yet, but they are the, I won't open them up. They're the polyurethane strut rod bushings. They say that it will make this thing handle a lot better with those in there. Part of the reason I ordered them is they were cheaper through Rock Auto than buying the rubber ones locally. I have a set of rubber ones in there now, but these are red. I ordered them red on purpose. They're going to look cool in there. Will you see them? No. But, you know, it's one of those little detail things. But remember the goal here. Yes, we're going to be painting all of this up. Am I going to paint the motor? Probably not. I don't see any point in it. You know, again, rat rod, right? It's going to look like this, but it's still really intended to be a rat rod. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Drop your comments, your thoughts, your criticism, kind criticism. Don't need any flaming ashtrays down there in the comments, because if you're there, you're gone. Put up with it. Too old for that crap. We're here to share what I do so that you can learn from it. And even if you're learning, I would never do that. That's learning, and that's a winner chicken dinner. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget, we're on MKS. I think it's the most important thing.